Hi, I'm Jem.
And I'm Victoria.
And this is The Criminal Crack.
Why do we try?
What do you mean try? That was beautiful. Welcome to episode 19, crackers!
19, baby.
I'm really excited. So
I'm still confused about the episode numbers because you did that two-parter and it threw me.
Well, you know what threw me? So I did episode 1. So if we didn't do any extras, I would always be an odd number. But then I did the bonus episode about Laurie Vallow, and did that pickle me? I had to go and check the computer and I remembered. So when you go into Spotify, you can choose what season and then you put your episode number. But I didn't want to break the season, so I'd put it in as a little bonus.
Ah.
But I think we can call this the end of season 1. I think our season should be by year. So this is our season finale, baby.
Oh, so that's exciting.
No pressure.
Apologies. It's not. It's an unpleasant one today.
It's
a strange one today. I just need to tell it, I think, because
this is not going to help me, because I'm putting my feet up, I have a visual mind, but I also have this thing where, say you mentioned, and it's making me feel sick thinking about it, certain words that set me off, I can then smell things to go with that, and it makes me want to vomit.
That's actually a superpower.
It's not.
Imagining something and smelling it. Imagine if you could imagine something and it appears.
That's a superpower. Being able to smell vomit when you don't want to smell vomit is not a great skill. And also,
so your memory is telling you that
I'm going to hate this episode.
No, but your memory is telling you to remember the smell, and you smell it. So
yeah, it means evolutionary-wise, biological evolutionary-wise, I'm further on, because things like disgust come from back in cave people days. I know that's not correct terms, but back in the day when
Neolithical time,
basically when a baby would shit, for example, cave people knew, like the mum and dad knew not to play with it or not to let their kid play with it, because the smell that was coming off of it, because the pathogens that are in your feces are really, really detrimental to your health, like if you ingest it. That's how we know to put that in the bin. That's where disgust comes from.
They had bins in cave people times.
Shut up. You've seen the Flintstones. Like, I didn't know I was going to be talking about this. I didn't know I had to do a TED talk on fecal matter.
Well, it is strange that you've gone off about that sort of thing, because
that's what's in this episode, isn't it?
No, but the mind is very much a focus of this episode.
Okay.
So, but how have you been anyway? We need to do our catch up first.
Oh, guess what? I've been ill.
Oh yeah, you have, haven't you?
I've been ill and I couldn't finish all my handmade Christmas presents, and we have a crime to address. A crime that happened in this very house.
Yeah, we do.
You know what happened.
I guess Gemma looks like she's got tears in her eyes. She's raging.
It's anger tears. I'm the sort of person you'll think I'm upset about something because I'm crying, but it's anger. So Victoria's dad, I'll set the scene. I came in to visit. I think I came in to record the last episode. And I said, oh no, you've got your Alexa playing the music and everything. We're not sponsored by Alexa and don't want to be. Alexa! That's just to set off all your machines. Anyway, I had Christmas music on and I said, oh no, I'm probably going to get caught with Whamageddon. And Victoria's mum said, we'll turn it off. And I was like, no, it's fine. If I get caught, I get caught. But anyway, it got turned off. And then after recording, came through, sitting there minding my own business, all of a sudden,
last Christmas.
And that, if this is you hearing it, that's not you caught, because that's Victoria's rendition. It's not Wham.
But the very next day, you gave it away.
This year, to save me from tears. Right, anyway, that came on, and Victoria's dad had purposely sent it to Alexa to play. Which is a crime.
I'm
and I'll tell you what
really
else
surprised
is a crime.
that mine is not responding to you at the moment.
Normally
she says, I'm sorry, I can't help you with that. It doesn't matter what you ask her. That's her response.
The one in the
kitchen.
kitchen.
I've got a boy one, because I got fed up with the girl one.
Well, the one in the kitchen does it all the time because I'm forever shouting at your mum and dad's phone going, shut up, nobody asked.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm an angry woman. And the other thing I wanted to say is about Chris Rea.
I know, that is sad.
It is sad.
I think it's quite apt that he's gone at this time of year because it's the time of year when he's always talked about anyway.
I just think it's really sad. And
Sorry, I'm not going to
me...
start singing all the Christmas
No,
songs.
don't do that. It makes me want to go and find the clip of Bob Mortimer on Would I Lie to You talking about how Chris Rea told him to crack the egg in the bath.
I haven't seen that.
I can't remember the whole story. I just know it's really funny. I love Bob Mortimer. If he wanted to come on the podcast, he would be very welcome.
Why would you crack an egg in a bath?
I can't remember. There's something about it to do with aging or something. I'm not going down the whole John Malkovich story thing again. I can't remember enough of the story, but it's funny, and Chris Rea told him to crack an egg in a bath.
When Theo was little, he loved fruit, and I always used to give him things like mangoes when he was in the bath because they're so drippy and sticky.
Yeah.
And so he used to have he was like Scarface, sat with like a big fruit basket in the bath.
Oh, I've lay in the bath and balanced on my boobs has been a little dish, like a ramekin of sweet chilli sauce. And then I've had a little plate with, the prawns you get this time of the year.
Tiger prawns with the phyllo pastry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just dip them in and have them in the bath.
Taking them back to their homeland.
Yeah, you love shellfish.
I love shellfish.
I saw a thing, it was a shrimp made out of Fimo, and I thought I'm going to try that, so act surprised if I manage to make it and give you
a shrimp.
A Fimo shrimp.
That's really cute.
Can we also just say, before, I've not done anything, so I'm just filling you with information. One of our youngest fans is my sister-in-law, Keela. So hi, Keela.
Hi, Keela.
You might remember, I can't remember what episode we were talking about, but we spoke about a game called Spoons. By the time this airs, hopefully Keela will have experienced her first game of Spoons.
Hopefully you will have annihilated your family and whoop their asses.
Well, let's not ask her to do a family annihilation, Victoria. What, just so you can get an episode?
Just at Spoons, I mean. Festive Spoons.
Keela, I love you to bits, but it will take Keela a while to get used to the rules.
Do you know what? And do you know what makes that game even more interesting?
Alcohol.
No, if you put Nutella on each spoon.
Oh no.
Messy.
Oh, that makes me feel sick. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
I do like Nutella, but when you've been ill and you're like, ugh.
Yeah. Ugh.
Also, your son told me my hair made me look like I was Adolf Hitler today. I'll put a picture up later.
He is absolutely charming, isn't he?
Oh, just he's just a charmer. Oh, yeah. How have you been? I've not actually said anything about how I've been.
How have I been? I've been okay. I'm just busy, the run up. We're recording this 2 days before Christmas, so the run up to Christmas has been absolutely bonkers, trying to get all the work, day job work stuff wrapped
up. Yeah, but we're both on holiday for 2 weeks, baby.
Yeah, on holiday for 2 weeks, and I'm heading down south for New Year, so that's going to be fun. Going to see Lynn and going for a spa, which will be wonderful.
Oh yeah, it sounds lovely. I've heard of this. Tell them about the Dead Sea bit.
Yeah, so I'm going in. It's a spa called Nirvana.
Wait, stop.
What?
Tell them, give the spa a shout out and everything.
Okay.
Not sponsored by, but tell them about the experience you had. Yeah.
The first time I went to the Dead Sea Spa. It's not a flotation tank, but a flotation pool. And so you can have, I think it's up to 5 people in at a time. So if you and your friend, for example, book 2 spaces,
strangers.
You may get in with strangers, and we did. And we were told when we got in that half an hour in this Dead Sea pool is equivalent to 8 hours sleep.
Oh, I need to go.
It's bliss. It's really, there's like twinkly lights on the ceiling, and it's, it's just, it's
what
the
happens
most
if you don't wake up,
incredible
though?
thing. Well, when we got out, there was a man, and it's got a sort of little current, so you float around.
Yeah, you're sort of pulled around a little bit, aren't you? Not like Whitewater Rapids, but yeah.
When we got out, the man that was floating around the middle in his little tidal pool did not. And I was like, oh my God, he's dead. No. And the woman said, no, we get this all the time. He's just fast asleep. And I was like, well, do you want me to get back in and nudge him? Oh, no, we've got a big stick. She proceeded to get this really long poking device. It reminds me of Friends. And just poke this man. And he was like, oh.
In my head, she used a mop.
It could have been a mop handle, but it was hilarious. Anyway, I'm looking forward very much to going back in the Dead Sea Pool. I love it. And
Is there anywhere up here that does that?
I don't think so.
I'd like to go.
I don't think there are many pools in the country. I think there are the pods at a few spas, but it's Nirvana Spa. Last time, because Lynn's a member, so she treats me to it, and it's
Where is
wonderful.
this? So give them a shout out.
It's on the outskirts of Reading. And the last time we went at this sort of time of year, it snowed when we were in the jacuzzis outside.
Oh.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
We should look up their Facebook page and give them a little shout out.
It really is bliss. It's the best spa I've ever been to in my life.
Sounds really good. I'm thinking maybe we get cracking because we're opening presents today, aren't we?
We are, with your family and my family. We're having our little
Yes.
pre-Christmas
Get
shindig.
together.
We're having a little glass of vino, but not yet. We should have done. Never mind.
Can you imagine what the episode would sound like with
That's
Vino?
true, yeah.
So, yeah, we will say more nice things at the end before Victoria asks what nice things, like Happy New Year and shiz.
Shiz, yeah.
In case we do forget, we shouldn't forget at the end, but thank you so much for supporting us in our first year.
Yeah, it's been
really
It's been
exciting.
really actually, I got asked the other day at work we had a work meeting, which is all, we work remotely, so it's all online. And we were asked about things that we wanted to celebrate this year. And I said the criminal crack. I said, I'm so proud of it. And it's been so good to invest myself in something that's not work, it's not for money, it's just for us.
It's
and
just for
well,
fun.
it's for you guys as well.
Yeah.
But it's, it's something out of my comfort zone that I never thought I'd do. I didn't
think you
that
would
I would
agree
be a
because
talker.
initially I was going to do it by myself, and then I listened to a lot of podcasts and I prefer the bouncing off a co-host,
Yeah.
and so my brother-in-law was going to do it with me, and then he couldn't anymore, and I asked Victoria, I remember saying to you, like, I know you hate the sound of your voice and you probably don't want to do this, and she was like, no, I really want to do it.
Yeah.
And it's been ace, and it's been really good for our friendship as well, because there was a period of years we lived in different parts of the country. A minor miscommunication caused issues at one point, but we've kind of come back together. And Victoria and I always explain to people, we're like sisters more than friends. That's how I see us anyway.
We have a twin thing, it's weird.
We do, and I'm a grumpy arsehole at times, and I get wound up with Victoria, and she probably gets wound up with me, but she's nicer about it. But she still lets me hang out.
I'm doing things in the background. She doesn't know I'm plotting.
I'm missing quite a lot of hair, and I keep feeling stabbing pains.
I'm just not an angry person. I think sometimes I don't even notice if you're in a mood, so you have to tell me. That's the problem with me. I'm like quite laid back, so.
But then if I am in a mood with anybody and I'm like angry, then if they know that, and if I think I've upset them or something, then I feel worse about it on the other side.
You're just
Anyhow,
an overthinker.
It's been working. It's working really well. We're really enjoying ourselves.
And thank you for listening.
Yeah, we really appreciate you all.
Yeah.
I think we give a shout out to a couple of you that get in touch with a lot. So there's Andy.
Andy, yeah, he loves it. He does his job every Sunday morning and it occupies him whilst he's working.
And he bought me the My Little Pony movie was it for Christmas or just a little gift?
I think it was sort of Christmas gift, yeah. He just said it was wrong that you didn't have your own copy when you're such a fan.
Thank you. And then we've got Dee, who we hear from quite a bit and loves the episodes. Jamie McHale, who has given me an episode idea. Michelle Thorne is one of my really good friends. She shares a birthday with Victoria, but there's 10 years apart, and I've not introduced you both to each other yet.
Not yet. We've tried. We haven't had a chance.
We will get that done, and she shares nearly every single social media post that we have, so a big huge thank you to her. Don't want to miss anybody out. There's lots of you
we've
that
got
we
Bex
love.
as well down in
Bex,
Suffolk, and I know a lot of you are listening, and Bex has obviously been in touch to recommend an episode.
She did a recommendation,
and also this one is recommended by Craig.
Yes,
so
Craig, if this is as bad as I think it's going to be, don't darken the doors of North East Scotland, because you're in trouble unless you bring My Little Ponies. And I know he's good at finding.
Well, he's
a Barbie-aholic.
Yeah, Barbie-aholic, which leads me to the case.
Oh no. Okay then, what's the crack? I'm not even being nice about it. What's the crack?
So this episode is called DeDushka, and I'll explain that at the end.
Babushka.
I think most of you will have heard about this case that I'm covering, and as soon as I say that you might call the individual involved a plangonologist.
What the heck is a plangonologist?
So it's a term that refers to a collector of dolls. but more specifically to someone who has a deep interest in dolls rather than a mere collector. So,
do we mean interest as in they get married to a doll, or... Oh, dear God. So we're telling Craig's life story.
Well, I was trying to think, is he a plangonologist? I think he's just an avid collector because he's got the most beautiful collection of Barbie dolls I've ever seen. He's also got a Cabbage Patch doll that's certified to have been in space.
What?
So, yeah.
Is it Katy Perry?
No.
That's bad, isn't it?
Before.
Would Craig maybe provide us with some pictures of his collection?
I'll ask him.
Yeah.
I'll ask him. This case is a little bit... it's not a trigger warning, but it is a gruesome case. And
I've got a really weak stomach, but let's go.
So I'm taking you back a little way to 2010 to the city of Nizhny Novgorod in Russia.
Oh, that sounded really good, and I don't know, it might be completely wrong, but I like that. Say it again.
Nizhny Novgorod.
Nizhny Novgorod.
So police were conducting a long-term investigation into several disturbances in and around the city's cemeteries. Grave sites were being desecrated and bodies were being stolen from their intended final resting places.
Like Birkenhair.
They eventually had a suspect within their sites. This person was a 45-year-old man named Anatoly Moskvin. He was an academic, known to frequent local cemeteries regularly under the guise of historical study. But I'm saying a guise, but actually he was studying and cataloguing things for a living within the graveyard. So
what, like causes of death or
inscriptions on tombstones, all sorts of things, and I will get into that. But
okay.
I've said under the guise because I wonder, was he doing this for a purpose, or was he doing what he did because of the... Anyway,
okay, we'll get there.
So this person was a 45-year-old local man. Did I say that already?
Yes.
Yeah, police were familiar with him already. He'd been involved in some incidents within the city's cemeteries on more than one occasion. So over the years he'd been questioned, usually suspected of vandalism or trespassing, because he hung around in graveyards at night, basically. But
was he found guilty of like vandalism?
No, he was never charged. One incident saw 2 men convicted for an assault against him whilst he was in a graveyard at night, and that was in the Pavlovo cemetery. And another recorded incident saw Anatoly accused of a hate crime because he was believed to have been caught defacing Muslim grave sites. But again, he was never charged. So
if he was interested in them so much, I mean, I'm guessing we're going to get to the point of the desecrations, so this probably is a complete moot point. But you can't see, up until you know that, you couldn't see somebody who was so fascinated by graveyards vandalising.
He was a clever bean, and I just think I'm inclined to see why they dropped the charges.
Okay.
With regard to the vandalism, anyway. Okay. So Anatoly Moskvin was born on the 1st of September in 1966 in the city of Gorky in Soviet Russia. Gorky is now known as Nizhny Novgorod, the city I already mentioned. Towards the beginning of the 1970s, the population there rose from shy of 1 million residents to just over that amount.
Wow.
Big, but with most families living in communal apartments. So I hope that gives you sort of an imagery. I imagine it being quite grey and Soviet Russia, quite bleak.
Sort of like Aberdeen. No offence to Aberdeen, but the Granite City.
Yeah. Many school children were orphans, and those with fathers at home would actually be singled out by bullies.
Oh, the opposite way to what you have. Oh.
So Anatoly lived at home with both his parents, Elvira and Yuri. They described their child as quiet, intelligent, but socially awkward.
Okay.
However, at around the age of 9, a noticeable change occurred. The once calm and mild-mannered boy began exhibiting intense anger, with sudden and violent outbursts increasingly directed towards his parents.
Oh, okay.
Now, his folks didn't know it at the time, but this change in behaviour was possibly triggered by an apparent sexual assault perpetrated against the child by an unknown male.
Poor guy.
Yeah. Anatoly's relationship with his parents never fully recovered after his shift in behaviour, and the family grew emotionally distant, though they continued to live together throughout their lives, until a point anyway. Into his adulthood.
So you think maybe because they hadn't protected him against whatever happened, or...
I don't know. I think he was a bit of an oddball. So he was clever, but I think he was just a very...
I mean, there's the potential he was on the spectrum.
Is insular the right word?
Yeah. Extreme interests.
Yeah. Maybe potentially on the spectrum, yeah. He immersed himself in academic pursuits. He never married, he didn't socialise or drink, and his parents were frequently away from home, making the arrangement workable for them all. In time, it became clear that the frequent absences of his parents had actually given Anatoly the opportunity and the freedom to engage in what could only be described as a macabre, sinister and deeply deviant hobby, for lack of a better term.
Oh no, okay.
As a child, Anatoly and his friends would divert their daily walks to lead through graveyards. They particularly favoured the Krasnaya Etna cemetery in the city's Leninsky district. A fascination with death had been piqued after the boy, who, when he was 12 at the time, he attended the funeral of an 11-year-old girl named Natasha Petrova. On 4th of March 1979. The girl had died in a tragic accident where she was electrocuted in the bathtub.
Oh my God.
I know.
Accidental.
Now, during the funeral proceedings...
Sorry, how old was she?
She was 11.
Oh, that's so sad.
During the funeral proceedings, Anatoly was apparently forced to kiss the girl's forehead.
No.
Yeah, so he said... And he said this later, an adult pushed my face down to the waxy forehead of the girl in an embroidered cap, and there was nothing I could do but kiss her as ordered.
Is that a cultural thing?
Ah,
okay.
I'm glad you asked that, because that's where my mind went as well.
Yeah.
I wanted a clearer understanding about how and why this might have impacted the youngster. So being forced to kiss a deceased person is something I instinctively considered a little odd and assumed that could have a traumatic and lasting effect. Mm-hmm. But I quickly realised that I wasn't thinking about the bigger picture. I come from a Western, non-religious background, and so yes, it may seem odd to me and to you, but however, I did a little research, and in Russia and across the world, they obviously have differing cultural rituals and ceremonies and traditions when a loved one passes. So I'll tell you a little bit more about...
It's the forced aspect of it that upsets me more.
Yeah. So I'll tell you more about what would be considered the norm in Russia.
Okay.
But if there's anybody from that part of the world or anyone that's travelled there...
We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, if I'm wrong, please do tell me. Get in touch with us. So this is just a snippet of what I found, because I did quite a bit of reading about these cultural things. So Russian death rituals are rooted in Orthodox Christian beliefs and shaped by folk traditions. After death, the body is washed, dressed in white, and a paper or cloth are placed over the forehead. Mirrors are covered and clocks are stopped to help the soul pass peacefully.
Oh, that's nice.
I thought that was quite
That's
good.
lovely, yeah.
The deceased is often in an open coffin or open casket at home for 3 days, with mourners visiting and walking around the casket in an anti-clockwise direction. Funerals are held on the 3rd day, and it's customary to bring an even number of flowers, which symbolise mourning, and an odd number are for happy occasions. Happy events.
I like that. I'm going to write that one down. Odd is mourning. No, is...
Odd is happy, even is mourning.
Oh, that's strange, though.
I would have thought it would be...
because, like, romantic-wise, 12 red roses is the done thing, isn't it?
But then also a singular red rose, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
When you do the tango. No,
I think that's just if you're a cheapskate, isn't it?
It's a really nice rose. Burial is preferred over cremation. Mm-hmm. During the funeral, mourners may throw sticks behind the procession to ward off evil spirits, and then some throw dirt and coins onto the casket at the graveside.
So you said this was Christian beliefs, but it sounds a lot more folklore than Christian, doesn't it?
It's Orthodox Christian and folk tradition, so I guess they've melded the two by this time. Because that sort of
goes against my understanding of Christianity is good and evil, isn't it? And the devil's the evil, God's the good.
Yeah.
Not really spirits or anything like that aren't really part of it, I don't think.
No,
again,
whereas folklore is spiritual.
Yeah,
so it's quite strange. I thought that
covering their bases, maybe.
See, this is the twin thing happening again.
And by the way, when we talk about things like this, I'm pretty uneducated in a lot of things. There's things I know a lot about, but please don't ever take offence if we get anything wrong. You can reach out to us through socials. Yeah. Please correct us. We are happy to be corrected.
And we are learning as we do this.
And this is part of what I love when we're researching and we learn loads of new things.
Yeah, I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole with this.
You did not.
I did.
That's
I went
not
in
like
a rabbit hole again.
We need to get passports. Rabbit hole passports.
I'll just stop following rabbits. Follow the white rabbit. So after they're buried, a memorial meal called pominki pominki is shared. And I had a look, and I think this is pancakes and fruit. They have additional remembrances on the 3rd, 9th and 40th days when the soul is believed to reach heaven.
Oh.
So it's a very long process. Afterwards, visitors...
That must help with the grieving, though.
I thought that,
Because
yeah.
over here, kind of, you have the funeral.
Bish, bash, bosh, in the ground, done.
Wow, you should work in a funeral home. Bish, bash, bosh, we're done.
Sorry.
Get out. Tear, bye.
Kleenex, go. Sorry.
Not sponsored by Kleenex, but we'd love to be.
So after the burial, visitors to the grave sometimes leave flowers, which is obviously, we all do that, don't we?
Yep.
And some leave a glass of vodka with black bread. Now, I didn't find the significance of the black bread, and I just assumed that it's something that they have in Russia. So although in what I found, kissing the deceased isn't specifically mentioned in the information, the strong sense of continued presence after death could make someone feel more at ease around a dead body, I think.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
You know, more than, like what we were just saying, more than us who, we have the wake and that's it, don't we?
Although in Ireland, I think it's a Catholic process as well to have, I'm saying Ireland, I'm so sorry, I know about the troubles, I don't want to get myself into trouble here, but let's just say I know Catholic families in different countries will have the laying out of the body, and it's an open casket and you can go and visit in the home. And the Jewish process is of having the body in the home for a certain amount of days as well. And the families sit with there's always somebody with the body.
Oh, so what until the soul passes is similar to this?
What interests me though is about, this has actually got nothing to do with your case, we might cut this out, is the 3 days for burial. How do postmortems and things fit into there? But that's probably got nothing to do with this, so we can cut that out if we need to. It was just a wonderment.
Yeah, I wondered, I mean, no, it doesn't come into this case, but when there's an unlawful death, then how does it fit? Yeah, I wonder.
And what supersedes? Do the police supersede?
Exactly. Yeah, is it their culture that reigns supreme, or is it their law, their legal system? Never thought about that. So this mourning period might help to explain some of what I'm going to tell you about Anatoly.
Okay.
Explain but not rationalise or justify it.
I feel like you're doing what I always do at the start, because I'm sort of feeling sorry for him and feeling like he's quite misunderstood at this point, but I've got a feeling some horror is going to come back.
It's a really confusing case.
I do feel like you can feel for the younger version of these awful, like people who turn out to be awful people, because they were obviously shaped in some way, and up until, my cut-off point is until they do something where they commit a crime against somebody, then that's where I'm like, no, yeah. I feel sorry for the younger version of you, and maybe things could have been different.
This is actually, it's something I was going to say at the end. It's one of those, I think I will leave it for the end actually, but his trauma definitely had an impact.
Okay.
As he got older, Anatoly's obsession with learning set him apart from others, but it also quietly unsettled those around him. Within academic circles, colleagues called him an eclectic genius, a man whose curiosity seemed to creep where others refused to tread.
Okay.
At Moscow State University, he studied philology, which is the science of language and ancient texts. But his true interest lay in darker territory, death rituals, cemeteries, burial practices, and the occult, subjects he was able to explore as part of the curriculum under Celtic history and folklore.
I don't think there's anything wrong with any of those subjects. I suppose it's how deep somebody goes in.
Yeah. Well, he became obsessed with death and darkness.
Okay.
He never stopped. He was always researching or was collecting. Years later, investigators would uncover more than 60,000 documents in his personal library, all centred on the same macabre themes.
And he didn't, sorry, you said he wasn't very social, so he didn't try and build a life?
This is what he did.
This was his life, okay.
Yeah. Also, Moskvin was a self-taught polyglot, which is someone fluent in multiple languages. So he actually taught himself, how many was it? 13 languages, including Latin.
Do you know who he sounds a little bit like? And I don't mean in this in any offensive way when it comes out what he's done. Fern Brady, the Scottish comedian, she's autistic and she did Latin and everything at university. She knows loads of different languages. She's an incredible woman. Her book is called Leading Lady or something like that. I can't remember what it's called. I'll share it. If you are autistic, if you've got anybody in your life who's autistic and you want to know what it feels like, especially to have a late diagnosis, her book is the book for you. She's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards thinking that you are right about him
He might have
being
been
on the spectrum.
yeah.
And obviously
we can't diagnose anybody.
can't diagnose anyone, but also it wouldn't have been recognised, would it?
Definitely not in Russia in that period, no. And it makes me feel really sad for young Anatoly.
So him being sort of fluent in these languages and also extremely intellectual gave him access to rare foreign texts that few others could read, but even fewer would choose to.
Yeah.
He worked at the Institute of Foreign Languages. He gave lectures and wrote books. He also later became a freelance journalist, submitting stories to local newspapers. On November the 2nd, 2011, police stood outside the door of Anatoly Moskvin's apartment in Nizhny Novgorod and knocked. They didn't know it yet, but what waited on the other side of the door would haunt them forevermore.
Oh.
Inside the cramped home he shared with his parents, reality had warped into something monstrous. The mind of this once revered academic had become twisted like the branches of a tree immersed in darkness trying to reach for sunlight. Officers had apparently arrived with the intention of quizzing Moskvin about any possible involvement with the strange disturbances in the city's graveyards. But the moment they stepped inside this cramped home, the investigation took an horrific and shocking turn. What they saw defied explanation and demanded immediate action, and Moskvin was arrested on the spot. Police had discovered the mummified remains of 26 young women and girls.
What? 26 in the house?
In a small apartment.
Wait, are the parents dead as well? So they knew?
I'll get to that in a minute.
Oh my god.
I know.
Oh my god.
That's what I mean. It's gruesome. It's not like anything we've done or covered before.
No, it's not.
When they entered, Moskvin reportedly said, "Don't worry, they're not corpses, they're my daughters."
Oh.
Anatoly's fascination with death had most certainly taken a bizarre turn. The man who had devoted years of his life to chronicle historical details of the nation's grave sites and cemeteries was the culprit responsible for desecrating hundreds of graves and snatching the corpses of approximately 29 individuals.
Oh, wow. So he wasn't murdering, he was taking the bodies. Okay.
His fascination with death could no longer remain concealed under the guise of academic pursuits. It had become something far darker, something that turned places of rest and peace into hunting grounds for his unimaginable proclivity. News soon spread of the arrest and the horrors found within the four walls of this seemingly ordinary flat, and it wasn't long before images were released to the press.
Wow, this is blowing my mind. Blowing my mind. Sorry to interrupt, but 26 bodies, mummified bodies. Now, would they smell?
I had to wonder that, and I will get to what he's done to try and prevent that, but I can't imagine. I mean, how many of those little Christmas tree things would you need?
Yeah, that's true. I was just thinking that if somebody dies in a home and they're left there for a certain amount of time, usually what raises suspicion is the smell coming from somewhere. But maybe the embalming process and things.
But actually what transpired is he's been up to this for a decade.
Oh my god. Okay.
Each mummified corpse was dressed in brightly coloured clothing, which was also stolen. Some had cloth coverings over their faces and makeup painted on. They were made to look like dolls. Not the kind of dolls a child might play with, though, and when I post the pictures, which I will, because they are widely shared, you'll see what I mean. They look utterly terrifying, and I found it difficult to comprehend how Anatoly and his parents lived alongside them day in, day out. These, air quotes, dolls were found amongst the clutter. They were propped up on chairs and sofas, facing TVs and things. They were sitting on shelves. And
did he think that the people were... I can't...
It's
or did he think they were his dolls?
It's complex.
Okay.
They were displayed in, and I was trying to find a way to say it, like, they were displayed in organic poses.
Okay. So they must have been pliable at that point then. So, like, just sat, like, on the couch,
like he would
but
watch
not...
telly with them and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
This makes me feel even sadder for him as well.
I know.
He's obviously ill.
Very, yeah. So I started to question how his parents overlooked their son's strange fascination
and didn't get him help
with these life-size dolls for so long without suspicion. But some reports suggest that while they thought his fascination with dolls was unusual, they believed they were just dolls. But other reports now suggest that it may have been his parents who anonymously alerted the police to their son's curious activities. And if that's true, it's possible they hadn't ignored the situation at all, but instead were unsure how to respond once they realised the true extent of what was happening. And perhaps they didn't want to bring shame to their family, because we know from doing the criminal crack that the threat of shame can silence people, sometimes for a lifetime. It's...
I don't want to judge. They're dealing with their child. I mean, he's 45, but it's still your child. And were these... I don't want to be disrespectful. So were these bodies in the living areas and things like that? So they were living amongst them as well.
They were living amongst them too. I find it really hard to... I just can't imagine that they thought they were just dolls.
I've not seen the pictures, so I can't... And I think we'll have to be very careful about how we put them on Facebook, but...
Yeah. So once the news broke, journalists began calling upon Moskvin's former colleagues and acquaintances, scrambling for answers. Who was this man, and how could something like this go unnoticed for so long? Well, it hadn't been unnoticed, had it? Because it had been a long investigation the police had been working on.
He must have been really clever getting them back to the...
Well,
they lived in apartments, so people must have seen him coming in with things.
I know. Apparently he stored some of them in mausoleums and things to sort of conduct the mummification process.
He did the mummification process. Oh, okay.
So one article I found was written by somebody called, I love this name, Tatiana Kokina Slavina, aka Tanya Tank. And
Tanya Tank.
And she posted this on her website, and it just gave me like some brilliant insight, really. Okay. To many, Anatoly Moskvin had seemed harmless, eccentric perhaps, but obviously respected in academic circles. Tanya had first met Moskvin in 2006 when he approached her. He bought a collection of local history materials to the, this one's really tricky to say, Nizhegorodsky Rabochky newspaper, and from then until summer 2010 they published his articles in the paper twice weekly, and his speciality was cemeteries. Schools and libraries invited him to lecture on burial grounds, epitaphs and forgotten graves and things like that. For years, Moskvin had wandered across Nizhny Novgorod, travelling through dozens of districts on foot. He claimed to have visited hundreds of cemeteries, catalogued thousands of graves, taken photos in situ and copied hundreds of inscriptions from tombstones and alike. His ambition was to publish a definitive book on the region's necropolis. This project consumed his life, but the toll it was taking on him didn't go unnoticed. And as for the book, his complete works were...
This is Anatoly's works.
Anatoly's works were given to a publisher, but that publisher has yet to do anything with them because he said they are now priceless. So it never made print.
He just sounds like he got lost to his own mind.
I do feel sorry for him.
Yeah.
So friends and colleagues said that by the late 2000s he looked exhausted and prematurely aged. Moskvin lived simply, almost obsessively devoted to this work. He walked enormous distances every day, slept wherever he could, and spent much of his time alone among the dead. There are even rumours of him sleeping in barns, open graves, coffins, and drinking from puddles whilst he immersed himself in morbidity.
Wait, but if people were saying that, like, okay, it's Soviet Russia, you said he's from, maybe it was one of those situations where, you know, oh, that's none of my business. But he was obviously struggling. It's really, I don't know what their mental health...
Because as well, it was under the guise of academia, study, and because he wanted to publish this book, were they letting him crack on because...
He was a genius in some ways.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
I don't think anybody did anything
it sounds
wrong.
like
I
he
just
was
think it's
meticulous
sad.
about things.
Yeah.
It is sad. But
Also
then what would you say when somebody's got that passion for something and you don't understand that subject anyway? It would be really tricky.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing that you don't want to... Well, I personally... I don't know about this situation, but if I am speaking to somebody and they're really into something that I'm really not, I just try... Well, I like to listen and I like to learn, and I don't want to judge, because who am I to actually judge somebody? And especially when he was like a lauded kind of lecturer, you would kind of think, well, there must be people above him that are kind of keeping an eye on what's going on. But I do think a lot of people that are highly intelligent that are working on things kind of get left to just be.
Yeah.
But I do feel for the families
it's one
as
of those
well.
it's a bit like he was playing a role as well. Like, you hear about actors who get so immersed in something, like, well, Heath Ledger is springing to my mind, you know, and maybe that's
Method
a similar
acting.
thing in your brain that just it forces you down that path, maybe.
So it's not because he's not taking care of himself or anything either, you know. That's the mental health area. It's to the exclusion of everything. And I know from an ADHD or ADHD point of view, I don't know if everybody knows what ADHD is, but it's basically if you've got a diagnosis of autism and ADHD, which sort of work against each other. I would consider myself as ADHD because I've got both diagnoses. And one of the things that we tend to do, kind of from both sides, is to hyperfocus. And I know when I hyperfocus that I forget to eat. I will get to like 7 o'clock at night and think, oh shit, I need to make sure the kids have eaten and things like that. Like, my kids are older now, and I did have a lot of help, you know, like I've not had to do it by myself. But you do forget. You forget to shower. Everything goes out the window because you're just so fixated on what it is you're working on. And that sort of sounds like what's happened there. Like, personal hygiene goes out, everything goes out the window.
Literally, it sounded like he was doing the bare minimum to survive, get himself through day to day, just because he was so focused on this. So after his arrest, whilst he was being held at a local police station, fellow local historians urged caution, insisting that the full truth had yet to come out. They assumed investigators were mistaken and that Anatoly would be cleared. As investigators worked to untangle the facts, one thing was clear. The man known for documenting the dead had suddenly become the centre of one of the city's most unsettling mysteries. And this case doesn't fit our usual mould. There's no money trail, there's no revenge plot, there's no clear motive that makes sense to a rational mind.
But it's still crime.
Yeah. And whatever drove him wasn't greed or anger, though. It was something more unsettling, and his mind was just completely fractured.
Yeah.
Investigators initially insisted Moskvin was sane. I know.
So they could put him in prison and just forget about him.
I think that was the plan, but that raises the question: if this is sanity, then what on earth does madness look like?
What's your bar?
Where's the line? Details of the corpses are pretty nasty, so this is my little trigger warning. This content is not for everyone, so fast forward this part if you're squeamish, but my co-hostess with the mo-hostess must grin and bear it.
But I'll put a timestamp in.
Yeah. All 29 bodies, so there was 26 in the apartment, but 29 he'd taken. They were all female. Many were children. Their ages ranging from as young as 3 years old to no older than 25. Anatoly had preserved them himself, using a crude mixture of baking soda, salt and resin, combined with careful, deliberate drying, a timely process. It was a knowledge he'd lifted from the countless texts he'd devoured and memorised, ancient tips scavenged from books, likely from ancient Egyptian scripture that he'd studied while at university. So he'd dressed the girls in these garish bright colours that I mentioned. He'd pulled wigs onto their skulls, fitted stockings, pulled tight, boots fastened, as if the girls might still get up and walk around. Some had their faces and hands hidden under cloth, others sealed beneath layers of wax and papier-mâché. Disguises that were meant to mask what time and death had done to them. And this bit really got me. He inserted music boxes into their chest cavities. Of some of them.
Was he trying to make living dolls?
I think so. Their hollow forms were packed with straw and rags to force them into the shape of the living. And this bit got me as well. Where their eyes had once been, he set glass and buttons, icy, hollow, unblinking and soulless.
It's like Coraline, isn't it?
That's scary. That's a children's film. That scared the bejesus out of me.
It makes me think that he had love for these. Yeah.
He spoke later.
Did he desecrate the bodies?
I'll get there. I will get there. He said afterwards that
they were his girls.
He'd wanted a daughter, and because of his finances, he was poor, so they wouldn't let him adopt. And
I mean, thank God they didn't let him adopt. I'm sorry, but
I know, I thought the same. So what drove Moskvin to this? And that's a question I think you were just getting.
Yeah. What was his motive behind it? Was it a sexual motive?
And
was it?
Was Moskvin a necrophile? And I had to ask the same question. Reports suggest not, but I'm still unsure what label to give him, if there is one. He was affectionate towards the corpses he shared his home with. He read to them, like I said, he watched TV with them, he dressed them, he sang lullabies to them.
They were his dolls. It sounds like if you watch a toddler with a
Play.
baby doll, and it sounds like play. Maybe he never
Role
had
play.
that when he was little. He wanted to be a dad. It sounds, and I could be completely wrong and I don't want to offend anybody at all, but it sounds like he wanted to love them. I don't think it sounds like... That's why I asked if he had done anything.
Well, this is... Yeah, so he'd given them names even, birthdays and personal toys. So I did wonder about that, because I thought he would have used their names if he's known the graves that he's taken them from.
But he didn't.
He didn't. He gave them names, birthdays, personal toys. It gave him some unimaginable sense of satisfaction
and responsibility.
Yep, but I think
purpose.
I think if there's such a thing as an emotional necrophilia as opposed to sexual, then that could describe him. I think there is such a thing as I don't know.
The thing is, necrophilia comes from a bad place. It's abusing a body, basically.
But he was getting satisfaction from loving them.
But you get satisfaction from loving a pet, and that doesn't make you...
The bestiality, whatever.
Beastophilia? It doesn't make that...
Beastophile.
It really sounds like... And I mean, I've got part of my psychology degree, but I'm not a psychologist by any way, shape or form. I've got an interest in it, obviously. But it sounds like he actually had no malicious intent. It sounds like he was looking after and trying to care for them, but... that doesn't take away from the fact that the families of these girls and young women
who've already been through
so
that process with their cultural thing as well, with their soul passing, it makes it even more.
But I guess for them, that's maybe
a blessing?
Saving grace because
their soul has
wasn't
passed.
there.
Yeah,
he sounds just like a really sick guy. As in, I don't mean ill. You're sick. I mean ill.
Yeah, poorly ill. Yeah, mentally unwell.
It's an incredible case.
So, following Anatoly's arrest and the horrific discoveries that followed, authorities understandably sought the expertise of a psychiatric team.
Of course, yeah.
Moskvin was ultimately deemed unfit to stand trial.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Evaluations determined that this once brilliant intellectual was suffering from chronic paranoid schizophrenia, an illness believed to have been triggered years earlier by his forced participation in Natasha Petrova's funeral. Moskvin spoke of hearing voices from beyond. He would wander cemeteries alone at night searching for the origin of the voices, the dead girls calling to him. Yep, to take them home, to rescue them. That's what he said.
I get that. If you're the thought... Okay, so my baby brother died at 11 weeks and... he's buried, and it's one of the reasons I don't want to be buried. I want to be cremated, because just the thought of him being there by himself, and people that know us will know that when I was about 4, I put Twink from Rainbow Bright, a little plastic figure up for him to watch over him, and I used to wait outside the back of Pinefield for him to be returned by the care bears, because I didn't understand, because I was too young. And it's trauma like that, and the trauma that he obviously had. And also, take all that aside as well, if he is on the spectrum, he wasn't social, he didn't have friends, he didn't have people, he built his own family.
He was isolated from his own parents that lived with him.
Yeah.
He was alone in the world, pretty much, it seems.
Until he found the girls.
Yeah. So he was fueled by obsession and compulsion, and he just gradually descended further and further into this darkness. He lived his life among the dead, developing elaborate rituals that he believed could spare the girls from the loneliness of oblivion. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to save them from being alone. Drawing on his intellect and his fixation on ritual, occult, sacrifice and death, Moskvin created his own symbolic practices. He believed that even in death the body could still serve as a vessel for the soul.
Okay.
So in his mind, they could be reborn, and it was his responsibility to save them from decay. He said, "I never harmed them. I only wanted them not to be forgotten." It's really sad.
It's really sad. Does he understand now himself? Like, is he any better?
I'll tell you in a second.
Okay.
So, in May 2012, Anatoly Moskvin was released from criminal liability and instead committed indefinitely to a psychiatric hospital in Kazan, where he remains. Doctors responsible for reviewing his case have consistently denied any improvement in his condition, and subsequently his release has not been authorised to date. However, there is still the possibility that he will be allowed to return home at some point. At the time of Moskvin's arrest, his own parents said, "We hope he's never released. He is no longer our son."
Oh, for God's sake.
He's clearly ill.
I've been thinking about them through this, and yeah, I don't want to be too judgy, but I would like to think, as a mother, that I could never do that.
It seemed like from that very young age, they really did
They wrote him off.
Yeah.
He
Instead of
managed to get
getting
himself
him the
this
help.
incredible education, like,
Yep.
he dragged himself up. I hope there's people within that. I hope they're keeping him in that hospital even if he's getting better, because they
Because it's better
recognise
for him.
that, and it's better. Yeah. And I hope he has
And a better life for
some
him.
friends. Yeah. This is not how we usually talk about the people in our cases.
I know,
but this one.
this is a really strange case. It's, researching this has been just a minefield, really, because there's a lot of psychology involved. And I was going to mention that Gemma has studied that. I haven't. I've got my mental health first aid, but that's about it. And this one, just like, you just go, wow, how did he was forgotten, wasn't he? Just like the girls, really.
And it's probably broken him further when the girls were taken away from him, which is completely right. That had to happen.
Yeah.
But then he's lost all that. I hope they've managed to find, like, some way to substitute for him. Like, I know that in old folks' homes over here now, they give some of the dementia patients baby dolls, so that they've got something to nurture and something to focus on and something to look after.
Yeah. And because people still need a purpose, whatever you do in life, you
do need
a purpose.
And that seemed to be his.
Yeah.
Wow.
So with regard to the bodies of the women and girls, they were returned to their families and once again laid to rest. Now, the trauma endured by their loved ones in the wake of such unthinkable circumstances is really beyond my comprehension. But it's a horribly, traumatic thing for them to have to go through. Yeah. And I can't.
Because of the processes you said that they go through after death, what was it, up to the 40 days?
Yeah, so I hope that was a blessing to them.
Yeah, I hope they are of the mind that, well, their soul wasn't there anymore, but it's still their body. Wow.
And their grave, and yeah.
Because they
that's that case today. But I thought I sort of wanted to talk a bit about how trauma can, because you hear about things like was it Sutcliffe that was supposedly had a head injury when he was younger, and
there's so many serial killers, and when you look back into their past, they've had bad relationships with their parents, they've had head injuries, they've had a lot of trauma in their lives. Could this be the reason for them going on to do what they do? Then you'll get the other side of the argument where people are vehement in their, well, a lot of people have that and they don't go on to do that, but every person's completely different, so you don't know what is going to trigger a person that won't trigger.
There's so much we don't know about the human brain and how we work, and
people like
the mind.
Sutcliffe, he knew what he was doing, so it doesn't matter what it was that triggered it.
No,
that can't be used. But when you hear about somebody who's, and it's awful, but has like a schizophrenic break, and they go and do something like murder somebody, for me, I have to have a certain amount of empathy. Don't get me wrong, it shouldn't have happened. My thoughts really are with the person that it happened to and with their family, but also that person who did that, it's a recognised condition. They can't, it's not as simple as, but they know if they're doing wrong. You'll hear this quite a lot. It's not as simple as that. Your brain overrides everything. If you've ever heard a noise in the dark and you've lain in your bed absolutely terrified, all your senses in your body are on high alert, imagine that 100 times over, because that's it. probably doesn't even touch the surface of what it feels like to have a mental health break or a schizophrenic break.
Yeah.
I've had a mental health break. Mine didn't transpire like that. I don't know if I've mentioned it on here or before. I don't even know if I've told you. But I lost my little brother when I was 3 or 4, and he was 11 weeks old. I had been told by my parents he was with the Care Bears. As I got older, that manifested itself. And when I was 18 or 19, I was working for the tie rack, and I met another manager at a team meeting, and he was younger than me. And so my little brother's name was Craig Hampson. This guy's name was Craig Hampsey, and he looked like what I thought Craig might have looked like. And I had a full breakdown. I thought it was him. I couldn't wait for meetings and things to see him. Thank God Facebook wasn't a thing then, because I probably would have
stalked him.
Yeah, I thought it was him, and I wrote this book of poetry that it was all, I don't think I wrote it, it just came through me. I can't write poems. I've wrote my really cracking one about the frog, obviously, that you've got, but I genuinely thought that was him. He'd came back to life. I thought it was him. And so I know a little bit about how that must feel.
Yeah. And this thing you said that you thought I was doing what you do, and you were going to at some point go, ugh, and not feel sorry for him, but I feel sorry for him. I really...
Yeah, I do as well.
I feel like he was just completely lost and isolated, and it's such a shame that somebody with such an immense intellect has
But with that amount of intellect comes a hell of a lot of responsibility as well. Yeah. So he would have had things piling on him. And again, not to bring it back to me, because this isn't about me, but I know myself that, I hate this time of year. And it's because, it's the change and things like that, but it's also the amount of responsibility and wanting people to be happy at this time of year. And
people have expectations. Yeah. You have your expectations about how you want people to receive things.
Exactly.
It's difficult.
And every year I crash and burn every single year because you can't live up to that. So trying to live up to, we need to speak to, was he a doctor then? What did he study again? Languages.
Yeah, no, he was a lecturer and a writer and
we need to speak to Moskin. We'll be able to. He probably had people getting in touch with him all the time about things that he had transcribed, and it's a lot. And then to go home to a cold, unloving house, to not have friends, isolation. We know from lockdown.
Yeah, the effect that had on people.
Yeah, the amount of, especially men who went through mental health crises and didn't come through it, was heartbreaking, and that's to do with isolation as well. So yeah, I didn't expect to say this on our podcast, because usually I would be sitting here going, little bitch, what a pussy.
Yeah, and normally when they drop criminal charges, you go, oh, what are they but this,
I was worried you were going to say they dropped them and that was the end of that. I am glad he's in a hospital. Yeah. I just hope it's not like Shutter Island.
No, sometimes it is the necessary outcome, which is rare, I think. Normally I feel like that's not justified, but I think he really, really, he needed help sooner.
He did.
And yeah, so that's a different case for us. I thank you, Craig, for suggesting it. And like I say, he loves dolls. He collects dolls, but not in this kind of way.
They are definitely dolls, right?
Yeah, they're definitely dolls. Definitely dolls.
Okay, Craig, you're allowed to visit.
Thank you for suggesting the case, Craig, and it really made me think a lot about psychology and the impact of trauma and all that sort of thing. Yeah.
That was,
and I think I might have upset Gemma with this case. I'm sorry.
I actually thought that was your best case to date. That was phenomenal. I feel a bit teary about it, and I'd like us. I think we will be sharing phone lines and things at the end of this, because it's the right time of year to bring this up, because Christmas is an incredibly isolating time for people.
It is.
I thought that was phenomenal. I think that's the best you could have possibly done to see the year out. Don't you start crying, because I'm tearing up here.
No, let's go have a drink. Happy
Okay.
New Year, lovely listeners, because it'll be New Year in 3 days, I think, when we air this.
I've lost how to count. As you know,
Potato.
we love hearing from you. We want to hear the cases that you would like covered. You can reach us on thecriminalcrack@gmail.com. Please, please, please choose one of us to cover your case and put their name, like put Victoria or Jem in the subject line. That means the other person won't read it. You can catch us on all our socials. We are going to be trying to do more with the socials properly next year.
We're going to try and schedule schedule things. Not, what am I trying to say?
I have no idea.
Just make a plan, basically, and actually stick to it, because we're so busy, both of us, that sometimes it gets overlooked.
And we're going to try and get a little bit more high tech. You might get a YouTube video next year. Pepper, shut up.
If you could see my face right now.
I know, she's waited till right at the end. Oh,
No,
for the YouTube.
high tech. What?
Well, I'm going to get more high tech.
Oh my God.
And yeah, we really appreciate you guys. We love what we're doing. I had a bit of a breakdown last week and somebody mentioned, well, maybe you need to give up the podcast. That was a hell no. Because this is the bit, it is hard work.
It is.
By the time we finish writing cases, sometimes you don't even have the energy to read it, because you're like, I've had this for like 3 weeks now, and yeah.
Yeah, it is hard work, but it's, like I say, it's
rewarding.
For us. It is for us.
It's rewarding, because we have had family members reach out.
Yeah.
And yeah, we will continue to share older episodes as well.
And that's the thing, that's one of the reasons I wouldn't have necessarily chosen this case initially, because normally we try to represent the victims and stuff, but I just think actually it was completely
he was a victim
valid
in it as
because
well,
he
though.
was,
Yeah, and there was a crime.
There
It wasn't just a So Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy Noodle Beer.
There was no murder.
There was no murder.
There was no murder.
I know.
And I will be seeing us in for the next episode. Don't ask me what date it is. I've not thought of that yet.
Sometime in the new year, 2026.
And Victoria's going to be
Crikey.
getting a bonus episode together because it's her turn.
She keeps saying this, and I will.
All right. Have a fantastic new year. We hope you had a lovely Christmas, and take care. Bye.
Keep on trucking.